On today's show, we meet Plymouth's new Poet Laureate. Hear from Duxbury Free Library and Pilgrim Hall Museum. Sit down with Cape Cod Community College Admissions Director Sheila Vaughn. Take a closer look at Park Plymouth and talk about upcoming things to do in our area. We're glad you're here. Let's get started. We went on the local scene to the Duxbury Free Library to talk with children's book author and illustrator Brian Lees.
I am Brian Lees, and I am a children's book author and illustrator. And looking forward to having this exhibition coming up at the Helen Bumpus Gallery, the Duxbury Free Library. A lot of people don't even really know about this gallery. I mean, it's kind of a hidden gem under the main stairs of the library. You know, it's nice to be exhibiting in my hometown. The paintings that are in this exhibit sort of cover a wide range of characters from a lot of my different books. And that's one reason that the show is called A Community of Characters, partly because it is in my community, Duxbury, which I love very much, and partly because it sort of represents the community of animal characters that have appeared in my books over the years. I like the idea of thinking of them as community, because in many ways what I'm trying to do is sort of show our best selves in the characters that I do. You may have lots of different species living in a small town, and they all get along. For me, it's all about storytelling, and that the story really comes both through words and pictures. I do start with Procreate sketches, take them home, print them out, take a piece of tracing paper, and at that point the digital stuff is done. It swaps all over to real pencil and real paper. So I'll put tracing paper on top of the printout, copy my own drawing, but as I'm doing that, I'm revising it. So the same way that I would do with a sketch that I started with paper, I'm doing layer after layer of tracing paper, revising each time I go to try to approach the final drawing and what I really want to go into the book. So sometimes I end up with maybe even 7 or 8 layers of tracing paper before I finally have a drawing that I think is ready to go. And at that point, then you transfer the pencil sketch over onto a thick piece of paper, and then I ink every one of the little lines in so it doesn't disappear when I start doing an underpainting. And then the first thing I do is to basically kill all the white of the paper. So I do a wash of color, and then I do layer after layer after layer of acrylics before I finally have a finished illustration. When I was a boy, I loved books that had lots of detail in them, because that meant you could spend more time looking at a picture. And it wasn't just seeing a picture, seeing 2 frogs talking to each other, turn the page. But there would be things hidden in the background that you might not notice until the 3rd or the 4th time you read a story. And so when I'm making illustrations, I really am making them for myself and wanted to create an image that has stuff you're not going to find right away in it. I think it's more interesting, you know, for readers like me. But I think it's also interesting for parents as well. And I think it's really, really important for parents to be reading with kids. And if you have books that have something in it that appeals to the grown-ups are less likely to groan when a kid brings it and says, "Let's read this one." You know, the parents are not going to say, "Not that one again," and drop it behind the sofa. And so if the parents are enjoying the story as well as the kids, it really models for the kids the joy of reading and the love of reading. And so it just becomes a loving, non-critical together time between parents and kids. We've talked about detail, and I think that is something that people tell me that my work is known for. I also always draw animals and not people. And that is a very conscious choice. You know, there are some people who see it as less serious than drawing people. But I love drawing animals. I love the variations. I love the fact that the bodies are hinged differently from human bodies. I love the size variations. So you can have some surprising things about, when the rhinoceros comes to visit the mouse. where's it going to sleep? Things like that. And so it can be a great opportunity for humor. But another thing for me is that the animals really become stand-ins for humans and for human nature. And it becomes also a very non-critical way for us to kind of accept things that we might not accept otherwise. With my book, The Rough Patch, when I first created it, the main character was actually a lanky old New Englander. One of my big problems with the story was that I never thought that kids were going to look at a book that had somebody on the cover that looked like a grandfather and say, I want to know about this guy. So having a fox rather than an old man on the cover is much more likely to evoke an, oh, what's going on with this fox kind of a story. What I would say to people who want to do this is, first of all, be a reader. Because if you're not a reader, you don't understand the structure of story and what stories need to be interesting to people and compelling. And to me, a story should be a joy, first and foremost. You should be caught up in the story and the characters and interested in it. You have to learn about the business, because it is a business. And a lot of people think that you're going to get your first children's book published and that's it, easy street for the rest of your life. So you've got to be persistent, you've got to do your homework, and most importantly, lead with joy. You've got to do this because you love it, not because you think you're going to get wealthy. Because the vast number of people who try to do this, if you do get published, you may get 1 or 2 books published, but it's not going to become a career. And pay attention to craft. Take notes, look around you, see what people are saying, pick up weird little physical quirks that they have, because all of that stuff becomes fodder that you can sort of naturally bring into a story. And if you're not sort of a student of life, if you're not curious about stuff around you, you're not going to have any of those things to drop into a story.
To learn more about Brian, visit brianlees.com. Soul Homestead is emerging from winter break and is excited to bring back First Farm Fun for the season starting May 14th at 10 a.m. The Homestead invites kids aged 2 to 5 and their families to throw down a blanket, listen to a farm-friendly story, make some crafts, and meet the animals that call Soul Homestead home. There's easy access to restrooms, a water fountain, and baby changing station in the barn for this drop-in 1-hour program. Pack a lunch and have a picnic on the farm when the program wraps. First Farm Fun is just $5 per child for non-members and free to members. Though the animals are barefoot, footwear and bug spray are highly encouraged for all visiting humans. Soul Homestead is at 46 Soul Street in Middleborough. Park using the second driveway. Just look for the sheep. Reach out to info@soulhomestead.org with any questions. If you can't get to the Duxbury Free Library, they'll come to you. Here's more information.
In an effort to increase our outreach services, the Duxbury Free Library offers a service called Homebound Delivery, available to Duxbury residents who are unable to make it to the library. If you are no longer able to drive, have fallen ill, or are recovering from surgery, the Homebound service brings the library directly to you. One of our volunteer delivery drivers will drop off library materials directly to your door. With this program, you can have full access to Duxbury Free Library materials. If you miss browsing or don't know what you would like to read, the Community Engagement Librarian, Sam, that's me, will browse the shelves and pick some titles based on your tastes. You can also order through our online catalog and even request materials from other libraries. Like all resources and programs from the Duxbury Free Library, this service is free. And if you aren't a Duxbury resident, we encourage you to reach out to your local library, as many of them have their own home delivery programs. Interested in signing up? Have questions about this service? You can give the library a call at 781-934-2721.
Business networking doesn't have to be a strictly handshake, meet and greet interaction. The Kingston Collection and Pins want you to have a ball and strike up business conversations and connections at the Kingston Connect After Hours event on Thursday, May 9th from 5 to 7 p.m. Enjoy complimentary bowling, axe throwing, and light refreshments. Pins is located in the Kingston Collection at 101 Kingston Collection Way in Kingston. How does a director of admissions for a community college balance all that the job entails? Tiff Phillips sat down with Sheila Vaughn of Cape Cod Community College on our Open Here podcast.
I'm with Sheila Vaughn from Cape Cod Community College. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you.
Well, I'm so excited to be here. I see you all the time at the Popups and I'm super excited to be here and chat with you today.
I know, because it's usually like 5 seconds we get to talk about the pop-ups and then we're on to other things, but I'm so excited to kind of sit down and actually talk to you about what you do and about you personally. So let's talk about it. Can you give me a little bit about your background?
Absolutely. So I have been in higher ed for over 20 years. I don't feel like I'm that old, but I have been. And I started out going to college at UMass Dartmouth and fell in love with psychology. But then I worked with brain injured teenage girls. I worked at a home care center. And then I got asked to be a staff assistant at Tufts University and an international office and fell in love with higher ed. And I've been doing it since I was 23.
So you have a passion for it?
I really have a passion for higher education. I've worked at private schools, public schools. I've worked at a for-profits, but I found my home in the nonprofit community college atmosphere. It's really where I find my best fit in helping people and really seeing a difference that I'm making when I'm going there every day.
That you are. I feel like everyone knows a little bit about Cape Cod Community College, but can you tell us a little bit more for those who don't know?
Absolutely. So we are one of the 15 community colleges in Massachusetts. So everybody has this we call it a service territory. So we are right smack in the middle of Cape Cod. So we are right in West Barnstable, and we have a physical campus, but we also are online and we're high flex. It's awesome. So we're kind of everywhere now, which is great. Ever since the pandemic, we've really ebbed and flowed. But we are an amazing opportunity to get 40 degree programs and 40 certificate programs. So whether you want to go into the workforce or you want to go into a four-year institution, you can do that as well. Not to mention that it's very affordable for students. But I like to say English comp is English comp, no matter where you take it. And, it's really great to see students being able to succeed and get out into the workforce. And we also do a lot of dual enrollment. So if you want to get, a little extra in your, your resume or your college application, it's always great to do that too.
So why community college?
So community college to me has really changed over time, and community college is a great way for students to be able to save some money. I just heard that some colleges are going up to $90,000 a year. And for me as a mom, I'm looking at colleges with my daughter who's 16, and that is a lot of money to spend, and especially in some fields where you're not going to make $1 million coming out of the gate, right? So, seeing students being able to be more fiscally conservative, understanding what it takes to go to college, and why not go for the first 2 years and really spend almost nothing, really, and getting your education and then moving on to a 4-year. Or we have programs that, like our aviation program, that you could actually get out and make $80,000 a year with a 2-year degree. So it's really educating people what you can get through a community college education, and that what is necessary for those students to do, and we hold their hand. And that's a really great piece of it.
It is. In the past, there's been a bit of a stigma for community college. Do you think that has changed over time?
I think it really has changed. I think the pandemic helped a little bit because students stayed home. I think that we've ebbed and flowed with times, and really have seen that students are being more fiscally conservative. I think parents like myself, like I was saying, I'm in my late 40s, and I had that student loan debt, and it is scary to go out and know that you have $500 to $700 a month in student loan debt. And students are really going, maybe I'm not quite ready to go away. COVID really saw that with students staying home and realizing, yeah, this is great. I am able to save some money and take those general classes that everybody has to take for almost nothing.
That's perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, and I kind of always wish that I did a couple of years of community college first, even if just to give myself a good transition, to get myself comfortable. I don't think I was ready for a big school, and I think a lot of people are in the same boat as that, is they're just not quite ready, or they want to be close to home. And I love that idea that you guys are very much at home.
And it's very true. We're near their home, but we're also talking to them earlier. Like I love that we work so closely with our local high schools, with our community. I go to the Plymouth Waterfront Festival every year. Just talking to people about what their opportunity is, not just the 18-year-olds, but even the 25-year-olds coming back to school. But I think it's important for people to see that anybody can do it and anybody can go. But yeah, I think it's really important to take that stigma out and know that we can help you. Like whether it's one class or 5 classes, just getting started. That's really important for people.
So Governor Healy actually signed the Mass Reconnect program into legislation. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. And I would like to thank Mara Haley. Thank you, Governor Haley. We are so excited about this. So, we have been watching this for a while. And what it is that anybody that is 25 at the time that they start school and is a Massachusetts resident, and they fill out what's called the FAFSA, which is the financial aid form that's free, and they take 2 classes a semester, it's free. Which means that they get a stipend for books. They get to have that education for free. The only really caveat is that you can't already have a degree. So you can't have associates or a bachelor's, but you could have a certificate. And we're seeing great things about this, and that students are able to come back to school and get their degree. Maybe they stopped and started. Maybe they never started. And they're able to come in and get a degree. And they're going, yeah, why not? It's free. I'm going to build it in my schedule. But she also has an amazing nursing scholarship for anybody that's thinking about being a nurse. We are in desperate need of nurses, and that is also almost like Mass Reconnect, except for there's no age requirement. Get into a nursing program, it's also free.
Wow.
And there's also we call it the high school completer program, which is if a student went to high school in the United States for 3 years and is undocumented and gets their high school diploma or GED or high set, they can actually get in-state tuition or get Mass State grants. So there's many things that she's been working on, and there's talk of free community college for all coming down the pipe too,
Wow.
which is great, and also for the nursing scholarship to not have that requirement of having the degree. Because why not go back to school if you want to be a nurse, and why shouldn't it be for free?
And nurses are so needed, especially now.
Especially now. And that's one of the things that we're really pushing. I'm on the ground. I see it every day. I'm actually in charge of the nursing program at my school to do the admissions. And I think a little bit getting this up was great, but I think talking to us about what we see every day, and we see students coming back to school all the time from having a bachelor's or a master's and saying, I want to be a nurse now. I'm like, great. But then he may not be eligible for financial aid. And that's sad because they want to be a nurse.
Wow. I didn't know that Mass Reconnect covered books. Like that is, because textbooks are sometimes even more expensive than tuition.
It is very true. I laugh sometimes what I see because the fees in the books are included. It's not just the tuition. And that to me is different than any other grants that students would
Right.
get, or that you might say, oh, I'll get financial aid, but you have to cover books. They get a great stipend for that. So, and it really is wonderful for students to be able to see that. It's just 6 credits a semester they have to take.
Wow. Have you noticed a rise in enrollment since these programs came into effect?
My office has noticed a very much rise in enrollment. We actually got more staff now, so we're super excited.
Wow.
We saw an 11% increase in the fall and a 30% increase in the spring.
That's
So
huge.
we actually doubled our applications this spring. And, the over 25 population is really coming out. We used to have the average age of 26, 36 was this semester. So we're seeing students coming back at all ages.
What's the best part of your job? What's the thing that makes you get up in the morning and be like, yes, I'm going to work. I'm so excited.
I feel like I got into this, been in many years. I've been doing so many different options. I've worked for private schools, public schools. I've been in this field for 20 years. But I found community college, and I found Cape Cod Community College. And just my number one thing is when I talk to a student who has no idea, they walk in, they're scared, they don't know what to do. They really don't, they have a path. They know they want to go to school. They have the passion, but they're like, I don't know. So I sit down with them, I discuss it with them, become a cheerleader for them. I tell them I get my pom-poms out. I'll be a cheerleader for you, and walk them through and see that there is an option for them. They can get a degree. And, as long as they have the time management skill and they find the time to take the classes, whether it's 1 at a time or 5 at a time, we're there for them. We have tons of services that they can get. We have, our Neil Center that does disability services, and there's so much as an option for them. They just walking in the door, that scariness of walking in and saying, can I do it? And yes, you can. And we hold your hand. And seeing graduation. Number one thing of my life that I love is graduation. Just seeing those families so proud of those students walking across that stage. And I get to be a part of it. It's my favorite thing in the world.
I love it. So what advice do you have for someone who's just starting to look at going back to school? How do they get started?
Sure. So, there's so many options for everybody nowadays. What do I do? How do I start? I say to a student, they might have been in a field that they don't love anymore, or that it's not making them any money, or they got into this field because they had to, right? So now they're like, I want to go back to school. And so really, you can make a Zoom call with us. You can come in. You can email me. Any which way, carrier pigeon, however you get to me. I just think that it's number one is to just come in and don't be scared. Don't be scared of it. Walk into it and say, it's okay. I say to everybody that comes in, everybody's scared. And especially as these over 25 students come in, we work very closely with our high school students, that we do a whole pathway to them, that they'll have their classes before graduation, and we really work with them early on. But anybody that is older, that feels like they've stopped and started or never started, and they want to do better and they want to find a new career, it's really just getting the motivation to say, I'm going to do it. Yeah. And then we'll find a way to make you do it.
You have the best energy and so much of it. Is that required with being in admissions? Do you have to have that?
I believe you do. I think anybody that is in this field, if you see anybody that is rude or on their phones or not giving you the attention, and they're telling you their story, you don't want to not be engaged with somebody. This person has come in, scared and wondering what's going to happen. And you want to be engaged with them. You want to talk to them. You want to understand them. And I think if you can't engage with those people and you can't explain that to them and you can't have that energy, I know there's nothing worse than walking into, somewhere and they're not engaged and they're just like, oh, you're here. That's the worst. Some days I say I have to put on the Sheila Shine or I call it the Vaseline smile, but it's well worth it in the end. And I think I have a positive outcome on life anyway. I think that positivity breeds positivity, negativity breeds negativity. But I've done some leadership trainings in my lifetime, but I think it's just really important to show positivity in life, and I think that it breeds other people's positivity.
Oh, that's wonderful. And we love that, Sheila Shine.
Oh, yes.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It was such a pleasure.
It's so great to see you. I'm so excited, and I can't wait to see you at the Waterfront Festival.
Our industrious New England bees perform an essential role in keeping our native plants thriving as they beeline from garden to orchard, touching down on flowering trees and blooming plants. On Wednesday, May 22nd at 6 p.m., join naturalist and educator Joy Marzolf at the Adams Center in Kingston for an informative program about the beesiness of these hardworking pollinators. Providing animal-related education programs professionally for over 20 years, Joy especially loves to dispel misconceptions about animals many people fear, such as sharks, reptiles, spiders, and bees. Register through the Kingston Public Library website. If you're a senior in Pembroke and would like a ride to the grocery store, a medical appointment, or an event, the Pembroke Council on Aging is here for you with free local transportation provided by volunteer drivers Monday through Friday. And the process is simple. Call the COA to make your transportation appointment at least 48 hours in advance and again the afternoon before your scheduled day to find out your exact pickup time. Medical appointments take precedence, so note that the times quoted to you may change. Medical appointments should be made between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., and if they are out of the area, let the scheduler know as soon as possible to assure volunteer driver availability. Call 781-294-8220 and ask to speak with Melinda, and the COA will always do their best to get you where you need to go. We here in Plymouth have a bustling downtown, vibrant with music, art, theater, restaurants, museums, and more. It can get crowded, and for those outside of walking distance, the beginning of a day or evening out in Plymouth is finding a parking spot. On this segment of A Closer Look, Julie Thompson sits down with Desmond Egan, Parking and Property Operations Director of the nonprofit Park Plymouth, which has a memorandum of understanding with the town to oversee parking in the business district.
Today on A Closer Look, we're going to be taking a closer look at Park Plymouth. And I'm pleased to be joined by Desmond Egan, who is the director of Park Plymouth. Welcome.
Welcome. Thanks for having me, Julie.
Thank you for being here. Now, for those people who don't know what Park Plymouth is, can you tell me about the entity itself and how you came to be?
Sure. Back in 2002, the then Board of Selectmen created a Chapter 182, which is an MGL chapter with the state of Massachusetts, to create, which was Plymouth Development Corporation,
Yep.
which is now Plymouth Growth and Development Corporation.
Okay.
We were tasked within that MGL chapter of overseeing the parking program for the town, some economic development stuff as well. And that's been going on since now,
Okay.
since, what, 22
Since then.
years
Right,
later.
Right. And a lot has changed because you basically you concentrate more in the downtown area and a little bit of North Plymouth.
Yes.
That's really where you're.
That's our main focus. That's the footprint. That's what everything that's embedded into that MOU with the town.
With the town.
Yep.
So you do have a memorandum of understanding with the town. You're not actually a town entity, but you're doing this on the town's behest.
True. Yes, we do it on their behalf, and that's just an agreement we have with them of what our responsibilities are to the town,
Okay.
and what our responsibilities are to the Board of Selectmen, who my board is appointed by.
Okay. So about you for 1 second.
Sure.
Because you're the face of Park Plymouth. So
Yes.
what is your background that brought you to this point?
Oh, okay. So, believe it or not, I did it in college. I was a valet in Boston. So I
You're
was one of the
parking in your
guys standing in
heart.
front of your restaurants, or at this time I worked at a hotel.
Yeah.
And I did that for, throughout my college career.
Yeah,
And then I
yeah.
went and got into, want to run a hotel?
Yeah.
Want to run another hotel? You want to be an assistant manager here?
Yeah.
I grew within the company, which was Ultimate Parking.
Yeah.
I ended up going to New York, working for a bigger company called Laz Parking, where I oversaw all the 36 parking lots for all the public parking for Manhattan,
Oh,
for the
my
MTA.
goodness.
Yeah, for the train stations going in, of 15,000 spaces. I did that for 2 years.
Wow.
Ended up coming back here,
Yeah.
caught on doing some hotel stuff, and then I was fortunate to transition here
Yeah.
into Plymouth.
Yeah. So hospitality and parking go hand in hand.
Yes.
Especially when you're talking about Plymouth with tourism, with economic development, it's all tied together. And people have a misconception about Plymouth not having any parking. Well, I can't go to Plymouth, there's no parking. Okay,
Yeah.
so talk a little bit about that misconception.
Well, that's true. Yes, it's because of the age of the town. Our parking's not necessarily front and center where you want it if you were dealing in
Building
an
a
ideal
town from
situation,
the
right?
beginning, right.
So we're kind of, because of the age of it, there's some stuff there. But overall, we have almost 1,500 paid parking spaces there. We have almost another 200 on the main corridor. We're getting, right now, we have the parking deck. It's a little further away from the city center,
It's
like downtown areas.
Next to the town hall.
Correct,
Yep.
which is right next on South Russell Street. All of that stuff is, what's the beauty of, I think, what makes Plymouth so good, the waterfront and downtown, is the walkability of it. So if you're at the parking deck, we actually have a walking map on our website,
Yeah.
where it just shows how close everything is. And
Right.
the parking deck into most in downtown is about 3 to 4 minute walk.
Right.
A little further if you're going down to the waterfront. We have a bunch of open air parking lots on the waterfront that service the immediate area by Town Wharf, but then even easier walk down there
Right.
to the Plymouth Rock and Mayflower.
Now, one of the challenges I would assume you have is that all the people that work in the downtown area often have to park their cars to go to work.
Sure.
Okay. And then you have people that want to come and spend money on all those establishments.
Yep.
So you have two different groups. Then you have people who want to come for the day and just kind of cruise around.
Sure. And you have residents, you have
You have
boaters,
residents,
you have all
right,
the activity
right.
on the
So-
water. Yeah.
So herein lies your challenge.
Correct.
Right. Now, one of the things that it gets a little, I think is misunderstood, is the fact that people have to move their cars. Why do people have to move? Can you explain what that is?
So how we look at it, when you look at it, you look at kind of density of where all the, where the most activity is. And those are, we want the shorter term parking spaces,
Sure.
right? So the main corridor, like Main Street Extension, those are 2 hours. We want someone to come in, grab a sandwich, get something to eat,
Yep.
coffee,
Go
whatever it
shopping.
is, and then make your way. The longer term areas, we have a bunch of 10-hour parking lots. We have a tiered system for our permit, but we love for our residents and some of those people who are going to be here for 8, 10, 12 hours
Yeah.
to park a little further away.
Right.
Makes those closer spots available for people coming in. So the support staff for restaurants or businesses in the area, a little further away, but those prime spaces are most important to those businesses, and
Sure.
the economic viability of downtown
Sure.
are most available to the incoming public.
Right. Now, people can get parking permits.
Correct.
Correct?
Yep.
So talk to me about that.
So we have it's a resident program.
Yep.
You can get them in 2 levels. You have a premium,
Yep.
and you have a limited.
Yep.
So they have 2 different levels. They get you access into limited, gets you to just 2 or 3 different locations close by to both the waterfront and downtown. Premium encompasses everything. And then if you're an out-of-town resident who works in downtown with a local business, you can also get access to the permit.
Okay.
And that gives those folks there. So in front of Water 3, or we call it Water 3, which is near Lobster Hut, and Water 2 near East Bay, those are time-limited spaces,
Yes.
4 hours.
Yeah.
Because of their proximity to that middle town
Exactly.
wharf
Exactly.
and all the activities that go on there,
Yes.
they're a little bit shorter term. Memorial Hall, right
Yeah.
outside the Rotary there, and then we call Water 4, which is up by Hotel 1620, and Water 1, the other side of the water treatment facility.
Yep.
Those are 10-hour lots, and that's where we really like to ideally have our longer-term parkers, the
Yep.
support staff for the
Yep.
restaurants and
Yes.
businesses to park there to make those other spaces more
Available to
accessible
the
to
people
the
that need to
incoming
come in
visitors.
and,
Sure.
and the customers of all these
Yeah,
people.
and we kind of can monitor with some of our equipment is intelligent enough to tell us what the longevity of our average stay. So we know people stay, between 2 and 2.5 hours. So that's how we kind of program that in with that turnover in mind.
Okay.
And we know, the support staff is, between 4, 6, and 8 hours,
Yes.
even plus, depending on how busy the weekends are.
So what is this thing about you have to move your car after a certain amount of time?
Well, in the 2-hour corridor, unfortunately, in an effort to avoid to pay for parking, some people will park their car,
Yeah.
set their alarm for 2 hours
Oh,
later,
and
and
then
then jump a spot or 2.
Okay.
But stay on the same corridor that's free. That's supposed to be for incoming people.
Oh, because you do
And
have
there-
free parking.
It
You
is
have
free
2-hour free
parking there.
parking,
Yeah,
yeah.
and there's other free options that we have. We lease some area across from 224 Water Street. That's a free option,
Yep.
which is great if you're going to Nelson Park.
Right.
Even it's a short distance to the restaurants.
Yep.
If you don't want to pay for a permit, that's an option for you. We had the Jenny Grist Mill, which is just a short distance outside of downtown. That's a free option as
Yep.
well. We also work with Nathaniel Morton Elementary School after hours and school. That's a free option that we have available
Sure.
for customers who are incoming. So it's a little bit further walk, but that's available to those folks.
Right. So the money that you collect from the
Sure.
tickets, which nobody likes to get a parking ticket. Of course you don't. How does all that money work? What is all the funding that comes in? What does it go towards?
Sure. So first of all, we don't like issuing tickets either. We ideally would prefer everyone pay. That's why we try to make it available with credit cards. We
Yeah.
take cash still. We have phone apps.
Yeah.
So we try to make that available. We try to make our signage clear.
Sure.
But if we write you a ticket, all that money that comes in does not go to a corporation. There's a big misconception that we're from New York or we're from Texas, I think was the last one I've heard. I report to a 7-member board
Yeah.
appointed by the Board of Selectmen to
Okay.
oversee parking.
Okay.
That board is tasked with taking the money that we have there, of course, paying for some of the, some staffing and stuff
Sure,
that's there,
sure.
but also to facilitate more parking. So over the course of the 2002, but primarily in the last 15 years, the PGDC board has done an excellent job, in my opinion. We have bought our Waterford parking lot
Yeah.
right next to Hotel 1620 from
Yep.
the MTA. That's 150 space parking lot
right.
that we bought with funds related from collection of parking
Yeah.
to
So
pay for that.
It's a self-fulfilling
Correct,
prophecy.
yeah, we
You're
do- the
creating
park-
more spaces with the more money that you
We've
get.
done the parking deck. We funded the parking deck. We did all the construction, all the engineering prior to that.
Yeah.
We're also paying that annually bond payment to the town for that. Most recently, we purchased the old Santander Bank building
Yes,
in
yeah,
4 North
yeah,
Street.
the brick one, yeah.
And we bought that because it had 75 parking spaces in the
So you
heart
bought
of
it for
downtown.
the lot.
Yeah, so we knew we were going to have, if that was a loss to
Yep.
downtown, that would have had a huge impact to
Sure,
the immediate
sure,
downtown areas
yeah.
to have that be cordoned off for whatever other
Exactly,
purpose it was.
exactly.
So that money that we take in is supposed to go right directly back into buying those assets. We've also done feasibility studies
Yep.
in other parking areas to understand, are they viable to build a construction, like a parking garage?
Yeah.
Can they
'Cause
support it?
That's really what is missing. Is granted, it wouldn't look great because of the way the downtown looks, but we need a parking structure. Do we not?
Sure. I mean, I'd like to think the South Russell Street deck is
Yeah,
there,
that's-
and
oh,
that's
that's
our
getting there,
first
yeah.
step there. What we're finding is also the cost associated with those are very expensive.
yeah.
we had a very big, ambitious project that the board had envisioned behind Memorial Hall.
I remember that.
That was upwards of about, I guess, $20 million
Dollars,
back
yep.
there. We did every effort to try to chase some Tiger Grant, it was called at the time, which is a transportational grant that the federal government would do
Yeah.
To fund
support
like a
that, yeah.
transportational stuff. We tried
Yeah.
to partner with GATRA to make
Yeah.
it more attractive with the transportational part of it. We thought that kind of tied in well with the rest of the town. Unfortunately, we didn't get that.
Right.
You know, when you're charging $2 an hour, it's hard
Yeah,
to make
sure.
up that $20 million
Of course it is, of course it is,
cost.
yeah.
So, but we have feasibility studies that have been in place. So if and when the time is there, we already have that advanced engineering done,
Yep.
and then we can kind of go to the build process.
Okay. For the entirety of this interview, please visit the Local Scenes Government Services YouTube page.
Plymouth has a new poet laureate. On April 11th, America's Hometown Laureates appointed Miriam O'Neill, Plymouth's second poet laureate, for a term of 2 years. The event took place at the Terrace Rooftop Dining on Water Street in Plymouth. Here's more.
We have the official ceremony. If you'd like to step forward, he's got your form. And we present the new Poet Laureate medallion for Miriam O'Neill. My finger's stuck. Someone can help me. Do I have to do this? Want to help with that? Oh my goodness, this feels so like Egyptian. Here you go. And now we have our new poet laureate. Thank you. I feel kind of like Sally Fields. They like me. So I'm so thrilled to do this, to be Plymouth's Poet Laureate for a couple of years and do what I do for poetry here and for our community. Poetry does make a difference. So I'm going to read just 2 poems. I was asked to read a few poems. I'm going to read 2. And originally I was going to try to get a poem in about the view, but the view kind of hid from us most of the day. So I'm going to read a poem about a different view. There's a city in Trani called Trani in Puglia in Italy. It's on the ocean, on the sea, like we are on the sea. Day's End, Trani. At noon in the parking lot by the sea in Trani, a drunk stumbles from the bar and proposes to watch our car for a coin, which my friend puts in his hand. And hours later, his replacement, backed up to our bumper in a rickety aluminum chair, insists that he has saved us from all comers. And having shared the spectacle of the lozenge sun as it burned a hole between sky and sea and disappeared like the last bit of a fox's tail into its den. How are we to leave him coinless? But my friend is firm. This watchman must collect his share from the one already paid. So, without complaint, the guardian of parked cars drags his chair across the lot to a green punto closer to the bar. And this one is much closer to home. It's a long time ago, but it's our coast. And we've had some raging waves and weather lately. The details. That day, one brother was dragged into the sea, and the other had to save him. It was October, and a nor'easter just winding down. Flotsam rolled ashore, then out on waves taller than children, and the small rocks in the shallows cracked and mumbled under the surf. See the brothers lie wet and panting in the sand. See them later as they sidle past their father reading in his chair, trying to get to dry clothes before he sees them. Hear the fathers speak their names without looking in their direction. And when they stand bedraggled before him, listen to his rebuke, steeped in tenderness, because he almost lost his sons to the Atlantic. Outside, the days like wet cast iron, the trees slump with leftover rain. A circle of lamplight surrounds the three. They will need these details for a lifetime. The gravel of the father's voice holding his sons upright through the storms. Thank you.
National Pilates Day is Saturday, May 4th, and Balance Point Pilates, together with Plymouth Fitness, invite you for a full day of Pilates demonstrations, interactive workshops, and insightful discussions led by renowned national expert Pilates teachers and up-and-coming South Shore instructors. Some workshop topics include fun with fundamentals, reformer Pilates, Pilates and fascial fitness, Pilates and props, Pilates and aging and connecting the body, mind, and spirit in your practice. The event is from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. with lunch, snacks, and swag included in the registration fee. Plymouth Fitness members and staff get a discount off full-day registration. For more information and to register, visit balancepointpilates.com. Plymouth Fitness is located at 16 Aldrin Road in Plymouth. It's almost tea time to get swinging for a good cause. Here's a word from Pilgrim Hall Museum.
Take a swing for history with Pilgrim Hall Museum's first ever golf tournament. Hi, I'm Donna Curtin, Executive Director of Pilgrim Hall Museum, America's oldest continuously operating public museum located in historic downtown Plymouth. This year, together with the entire community, we are celebrating Pilgrim Hall's 200th anniversary, and we're raising support to restore our original 1824 building and the priceless art housed within. Join us Saturday, May 13th at Southers Marsh Golf Club in Plymouth for a once-in-a-century golf tournament to help preserve this irreplaceable treasure house of national history. We're looking for players, singles and foursomes, and sponsors to help make this historically fun event a huge success. Visit pilgrimhall.org to register to play, to get more information, and to learn about sponsorship opportunities. Again, that's one word, pilgrimhall.org, or call us at 508-746-1620, extension 3. Be part of history with this fun-filled day of golf, awards, and more on Saturday, May 13th. Hope you'll take a swing with us. Thank you.
Raising the bar on cool locations for a fitness class, the Duxbury Rural and Historical Society is hosting local instructor Cheryl Kilduff for Bar on Bumpus. Stretch, strengthen, and revel in the beautiful surroundings of Bumpus Park, the historic site on Duxbury Bay, alongside what was once shipbuilder King Caesar's working wharf. Classes are on Fridays, May 17th, 24th, 31st, and June 14th. Start at 9:30 a.m. and last for an energizing hour. Please bring your yoga mat. Light weights are optional. Get your tickets through the website at duxburyhistory.org. Bumpus Park is across from the King Caesar House at 120 King Caesar Road. Get ready to roll out the barrel for a barrel of fun at Mayflower Brewing's annual open house on Saturday, May 18th. Get a look at the workings of this craft beer microbrewery founded by Drew Brousseau, who has beer in his bloodline as the 10th great-grandson of Mayflower beer barrel cooper John Alden. Starting at noon, they'll open up the whole brewery for folks to come down and get hopped up on live music by Mike McHugh and Jesse Kenny, a selection of local food vendors, and of course, specialty beers on tap. There will be outside activities too if weather permits. This event goes until 9 p.m. and is open to the public. Mayflower Brewing Company is at 12 Resnick Road in Plymouth. Help preserve the past by taking a look into your future. As a fundraiser to benefit the preservation of the Spooner House Historical Museum, the Plymouth Antiquarian Society has partnered with Go Beyond the Gates, Kindred Spirits, and Silver Moon Tarot to offer tarot readings on the first Fridays of May, June, August, September, and October in 2024. Spiritual readings and tarot cards offer spots for readings at 5, 6, or 7 p.m. in an hour, limited to 6 people. Included in your ticket is a mini tour of the Spooner House and exploration of the beautiful backyard garden before or after your reading. Tickets can be purchased online at PlymouthAntiquarian.org or by calling the office at 508-746-0012. The Spooner House is at 27 North Street in Plymouth. Mother's Day is right around the corner, and your mom will be proud to know that you shopped locally. Inebriarch's Shop Local Marketplace is back at the Mayflower Brewery on Saturday, May 11th from noon to 4 p.m. This day of community, craft, and commerce will feature a thoughtfully curated collection of local everything. Artists, vendors selling unique gifts, and of course, craft beer brewed right on the very spot where you'll be shopping. Can't get more local than that. Mayflower Brewery is located at 12 Resnick Road. This event is free to attend and open to all. The Pembroke Chamber of Commerce invites you to meet the candidates for Pembroke Select Board and School Committee on Thursday, May 9th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Pembroke Public Library. This forum is for the candidates to answer voters' questions. To submit yours, please email pembrokedebate24@gmail.com. The Chamber will review and select 5 questions to ask each of the candidates. All must be submitted by noon on May 2nd to be considered. To read brief bios of the candidates, visit pembrokechamber.org/2024 Pembroke Town Elections Forum. This event will air live on our Pembroke Government Channel, Comcast Channel 9, and live stream from our Pembroke YouTube channel. And that, my friends, wraps this episode of What's Good and Good to Know in our area. We are grateful for your attention. We'll see you on the local scene. For more of what's good and good to know on the South Shore of Massachusetts, hit the subscribe button. And thank you for watching.